on the other end of this happy topic. There are more issues than crime. Crime is an issue that Republicans want everybody talking about. I certainly understand that. The only reason I'm bringing it up is I'm hearing it from a lot of Democrats in their personal lives, and for some weird reason over the past 2 weeks especially. So Stan Greenberg a couple of days ago, and I'm sure you saw this, he told Democrats, don't even think about talking about crime, because whether you're good on crime or not, if you bring it up, that turns the voters' attention to crime. So the question is, a lot of tough races out there, a lot of tight races. I know Republicans are targeting you. How do you handle the issue of crime when somebody says, oh, the woke DA does this or that? What's your response?
Well, we have a plan to increase public safety, and we're going to fund good policing. We voted to do that. We passed legislation to do that. We did it in the rescue plan. And we're also going to do something about gun violence. And let's remember, the MAGA crowd won't do anything while our kids are getting gunned down in their classroom. And so because so much of the problem with rising crime is gun violence, it's important that voters know we've got a plan to reduce gun violence. My opponent thinks teenagers should buy assault weapons. I don't. That's a big difference. So we can address issues of concern to people. We understand kitchen table issues and the economy are always front and center for working class families and middle class families like the one I grew up in. We're also going to defend reproductive freedom, though. We're also going to talk about issues that we know voters are really facing a choice on, because, of course, while we agree on bringing down costs and bringing down crime, we very much disagree with the MAGA Republicans on who should have the decision over reproductive freedom. We think it should be you. Yeah. They think it should be politicians.
You know, I was watching the Val Demings-Marco Rubio debate the other night, and they're talking about crime, also talking about guns, though, and Marco just seemed so shrill, sophomoric. It was almost like he was a bot on Twitter. He did everything but say, well, if guns were outlawed, only criminals would have guns. There were so many pat answers in the era of Uvalde. And I'm just wondering about a disconnect. And why when we talk about crime, is there's so much of a disconnect for voters when it's when the violent crime that's being committed, so much of it has to do with guns. And yet you had Marco the other night. His answer was, oh, nothing will help. We can't do anything. Whatever laws we pass won't be able to stop this. Forget the fact that he's against stopping 18-year-old crackpots from going in on their birthday, getting guns, and then having more firepower than an entire police force. Forget that fact. Why is there this disconnect between voters when there's a real connection between guns on the street and most Republicans' absolute refusal to do anything that would keep guns out of the hands of bad guys?
That's exactly right. And I think we have to put gun violence at the center of this debate, because we have a plan to reduce the gun violence. The other side is in the pocket of the NRA. So that's right. And by the way, if we're going to talk about crime, maybe we ought to talk about the crimes committed by their former president down at Mar-a-Lago and elsewhere. And let's remember, when they use crime, they're often using it as a pretext to talk about race. And in my own district, the local NAACP and community leaders are up in arms this morning because the big outside dark money groups are sending around flyers that are only African Americans pictured committing crimes. So we know what they're doing. This isn't just a debate about crime. This is an avenue into an ugly conversation where they're trying to use race to divide Americans. So it's about public safety, of course, but let's also call it what it is.
Well, you know, Rev, we've talked about it. I think it's very important, and you certainly understand we need to find a middle ground here. I think it's very important to support cops. We have got to support cops, and we have to support reforms for police officers. But for the Republican Party to claim that they're champions of police officers when they really do nothing, while Capitol Hill cops get the hell beaten out of them, when Lindsey Graham tells a cop who died after January the 6th that he was going to kick the cop's mom out of his office if she said anything bad about Donald Trump, when you have cops that had the hell beaten out of them being lied to by Kevin McCarthy, when you have Republicans that are going to be running the House talking about defunding the FBI. They have slandered the FBI repeatedly, America's top law enforcement agency. Trump even put poor Durham in there. Poor Durham. He's like the 1962 Mets. If Casey Stengel were around in the Justice Department, he'd say, "Can't anybody here play this game?" No, because they have all of these conspiracy theories trying to trash the FBI and trying to trash law enforcement officers. So how in the world do they become the champions of law enforcement when they're anti-law enforcement anytime law enforcement doesn't allow them to commit crimes?
Absolutely. When you look at the fact that some of us that are left of center and genuinely progressive say we're not defund the police, let's put the resources in the right place. And now you have those that criticized us saying defund the FBI. And when you have people that are making blacks the personification of crime when that is not even statistically true. But why don't you use a picture of the black security guard, the Capitol policeman that saved the vice president from going down the wrong corridor when they were rioting in the Capitol? And let me ask you this, Congressman Maloney, because I get tweets of some people from my organization, even live in your district. Your opponent was given opportunity, I believe, in a debate, I think last night, if this tweet is right, to denounce this racist literature that's being sent where all the criminals are black, and he wouldn't denounce it. Is that true?
No, he wouldn't denounce it. He said it was a legal issue, and we said, no, it's a moral issue. You can say what's right and what's wrong, whether you're benefiting from it or not. And we know the game we're playing here. But look, Joe's right. We're going to fund good policing. We're going to resist defunding the FBI. We're going to defend good law enforcement. And we're doing that. We have a plan to give you safer streets. The other side has a ploy to use crime and really race to try to win an election. That's what's at stake. That's one of the differences between mainstream Democrats and MAGA Republicans. This is a choice between whether we go down these dark roads where we are dividing people one against another. That's an old playbook. It's a dark one. It's won some political races through history, let's be honest. But that's what's at stake.